Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the conversation series on mediation, created with an aim and vision to promote mediation in the world around us and to talk about mediation from the perspective of a common person. We will be unmasking and venturing into the life and persona of a mediator in this season 2. We continue with a short legal disclaimer. The views expressed herein are the voluntary personal perspectives of the speaker and may or may not represent the views of the larger professional community they belong to. This season 2 is aimed at giving an insight into the life and persona of a mediator. This session is being recorded for wide circulation, and also this conversation series aimed to provide a general overview of the subject matter involved and should not be construed as a legal or professional advice in any manner whatsoever. Let me introduce the guest speaker for today's session. We have Ms. Sevil Yildirim, a lawyer and an IMI certified and registered mediator in Turkey. She has, to her credit, a business administration from METU Turkey. She holds a law degree from Law School Gazi University, Turkey, and an MA in International Relations from George Washington University, USA. She has also served as a foreign trade expert, Ministry of Economy, Turkey. So, welcome on board, dear Sevil. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. And over to you. Please introduce yourself and what made you choose mediation. How mediation happened to you.
Thank you for inviting me to this event. It's an honor, and I'm following your activities, and I appreciate your work for mediation. I want to say this for the beginning. So you introduced me at the beginning, and you will see that my background is quite diverse and not a typical one. I have studied both business administration, then I started working in bureaucracy as a foreign trade expert, and as I was working, I also studied at law school. I couldn't attend most of my classes, but still, I really gave too much effort to study as a student and both work simultaneously. Then I had my master's degree in the US at George Washington University and international relations with a focus on international trade and investment policy at Elliott School. So in both my work and academic career gave me too much insight, and I believe that I have different views based on my experiences, and it adds a lot in my work of profession of mediation. In 2017, I had a radical change in my life. I decided to work by self-employment and started to work as a lawyer. And then mediation, I learned about mediation. And in addition to being a lawyer, after an exam, I became an officially registered mediator in Turkey. In Turkey, we have not only voluntary mediation, but also we have to apply for mediation for many types of judicial cases. And if we cannot solve the problem yet in mediation, then we can follow by applying to a court. Because there are so many cases and so many problems, judicial problems, and most of them can be solved actually without going to a court and without making it too much hostile. Just by speaking with the help of a professional third person, you can solve problems. And mediation has a lot of value in itself. And just to promote it and to make it common, well known by people, it has become obligatory to apply for it. But of course, it is still voluntary if you agree or not, and in what terms you agree. It all depends on parties still. They can always leave mediation and still go on with a court system. That's okay to of course. So that's in, otherwise it wouldn't be mediation. Maybe it would be an arbitration, for example, because there are also other types of alternative dispute resolution systems to courts, but the voluntariness is in the essence of mediation. So when I start, I want to just to raise some interest. I want to start with some slides, but from there I will add other comments to help guidance for maybe younger professionals. I think you can see it now.
Yes.
So I will start by the heading. First, I asked about this unmasking word to Miss Sonal. And of course, it means that delving into a person's life, and it doesn't mean that we are wearing masks when we say unmasking, but I thought it could be interesting to start with that word, because mask has a meaning in Latin. It means persona. I remembered that when I saw it later. And we all have roles and personas. We got used to masks with COVID. As you see in the picture on the left, we are now all using masks when we have some sickness, some flu. But other than that, when we say mask, we remember those fancy clothes and costumes. Mask is like a costume on us. We all wear some type of costumes when we have different roles. I am at the same time a mother, a lawyer, a mediator, and I have some roles, so I'm wearing different masks in my life. So actually, when I first saw that, I don't wear masks. That was my first response. Then I said to myself, no, I of course wear a lot of masks, but what type of masks? So as we see here from the free dictionary, I have this definition. Persona means the role, basically. And it is generally somewhat different from what we are actually inside. It may be different inside, but we wear something outside as a role. And it is also the character. So there's some lyrics from a song here. It is called Get Lucky, the song. There is a sentence in this song I love. We've come too far to give up who we are. This sentence also means that in life we become somebody. And at a point we may realize that that's not the inner person, but we have been assuming that role too much that now we have to act in that way all our lives. Maybe we want to leave that behind, but it may not be easy. I wanted to share these, as I said, to raise some interest in the topic. So how do we define a person? Still another interesting anecdote here from The Little Prince. The Little Prince says, grown-ups like numbers. Okay, when I'm introducing a person, what do I call about him or her? Maybe as a mediator, I can say that I had, let's say, 100 mediation cases, and I got this somewhat like 4 points from my CGPA on my master's degree. I can give you some numbers to provide my proficiency, how well I am, to show that I will be talking about some numbers. But instead of that, we could be asking, what do you like, for example, as a movie or some book? Can you give me your preferences? Can you talk about yourself without numbers, but about what you like, what you don't like, what you prefer, what are your values, maybe? Probably those are the things that will make us a person rather than the numbers itself. So about a mediator's persona. As I said, the inner self may be different than all those masks, all those roles we have to assume. But according to me, that inner self should be in harmony with all of those masks or roles. Otherwise, it would be felt. It would feel not honest. And we cannot be a really good, successful mediator if there isn't harmony between those inner self and between those masks. So we should start from healing ourselves, our inner self, because we have to be honest. Otherwise, we cannot provide that trust to the parties. Mediation is too much based on trust, and people feel it. They come, and even if they feel that frequency, if you cannot be impartial, for example, you will feel it in your tone of speech, in your behavior. So, of course, we cannot be 100% neutral, but in order to be able to understanding, listening, at least equal in your behavior, if you have some negative feelings, you should be able to balance it with some other feelings as well. There should be an ability of staying objective towards all people for the mediator. A mediator should be able to listening without judgment. So whatever your mask is, it should be free of all judgments. And a mediator would be a good summarizer, analyzer. So that persona should include all those capabilities. And the mediator, I don't want to say should. I noticed myself saying should, but is a better word here, because even now I have to be careful with my words. Should is somewhat like advising. A mediator is someone who doesn't advise but becomes that person as much as she or he can. So a mediator is always trying to be careful with words and the tones of the speech and the body language. And as I said before, there's a frequency we have around, like an aura when we speak, the feeling we give to the other people. A mediator focuses on the parties and the problem. Here I will be saying more, because when I say the mediator should be in harmony with inner self, it doesn't mean that I will be relating to my own problems when people come to us. I noticed some other colleagues having this problem. When people come, we shouldn't, let's say, we listen to them and we concentrate on their problem, not our previous problems. It's not like saying, okay, I had something similar before, and then I go on starting my own past traumas or experiences. Because in friendship, for example, we generally do that. Our friends tell us a problem, and then we start saying, oh, I had something similar. So the mediator has a mask here. We don't open our personality to the parties. It is important to keep some distance between our personality with the people and our problems with the people, so that we are professional and we are able to help. If we start explaining our problems, then the focus shifts. It should let it keep on the people's problems and not the person's the problem. So as I said, maybe it's a mask, a transparent mask, just to put some distance between ourselves and the parties. And what is still important is that the mediator is in a continuous transformation. We are never perfect. We are also human as mediators. We, all the time, everybody, and we mediators as well, make mistakes. We say something wrong. I have been saying should, for example. That's a small mistake, as I noticed in myself. As I said, instead of should, I can say something better here. So what is important is that, okay, we can make mistakes, but we turn to ourselves and ask, try to think about it. That's the issue. A mediator thinks and reflects on actions, thoughts, other people, and himself, herself. A mediator is a thinker, continuous thinker, and that thought becomes turns into a change in behavior. So it is a learning process, a continuous learning process. We improve ourselves, and as we improve ourselves, we try to help other people. So this is a mind map of myself, which I created in as I was in the IMI accreditation courses, trying to get ready for accreditation exam. I attended a course with Deniz Kitty. There we had prepared mind maps for ourselves. Mind maps are useful in negotiation, especially to analyze the problem, the conflict, and to reach some alternative solutions. You can use mind maps. So we made a mind map for ourselves, and this was the one I did for Sevil. And everybody's mind map looked very different. For example, this has 4 sides, and it looks really analytical myself. And for example, there was another mediator, and his mind map looked really different. It included a lot of words, and it didn't look like it looked complicated to me. But it also means that there are a lot of thinking procedures going on in his brain, maybe more complicated issues going on there. It has both advantages and disadvantages. Nothing is better or worse, just the way of thinking. So maybe from here, I can also say something about mediation, because that shows the change that mediation brought to my life.
Yeah.
Before mediation,
We really would be interested in that.
And these are in Turkish, so I just translated it into English here. The first category is the social category. I said from docile to leading. I used to be too much helping and but not leading. I was in the backstage mostly, and I think it didn't help. It didn't have too much impact on life. So in order to provide impact on your environment and people, being docile is not enough. You need to become a leader. And the best way to lead people is to be a good example yourself. You don't wait people, you just act yourself. It's not like having some position. It's not like administering people. It is something different to lead. And from sacrificing or giving to disseminating, spreading. These are similar, the first one and the second. I was always giving something from myself, and I was getting tired in life. And as you give and give, people get used to it. And at one point, if you stop giving it, then people just don't say thank you to you. They just accuse you for not continuing to give, because they are just accustomed to it. So it's not the best way. But if you disseminate what you already have in your, if you have your some experience and knowledge, and spreading that knowledge is creating value here. And I had too many people around me, and most of them I noticed, I don't want to say this in a accusing or disturbing way, but unnecessary, I would say, because not creating and value again for each other, just seeming to be there. Crowd, it just creates crowd. So I now try to have more quality, but in less in quantity in terms of people. In terms of family category as well. I had some family issues from the starting, because my mother had some psychological illnesses. And then, so you carry those problems into your marriages, and those problems make you get more mature. Problems are a gift. You can see them as a gift, because you become deep rather than shallow with problems. So I had some separations in my life, and now it is like reunion. I am now close to my parents. I was living in another city far away from my parents, but now I'm close to them, and they are getting older. I'm now close in physical terms as well. And we were not even knowing each other with my parents. After a time, we had lost the connection between us, and probably they didn't know about my personality in between. But now we now know each other better. And from close to open relations, there is always a way to tell about things. People may think differently. If you say it in a good way, they will accept it. Instead of making it like an argument, always try to find some way to say it. Be open, but in a nice way. And from lacking to abundant in love and concern, that is in my family category. From fear to trust, again. So these are all connected to mediation. Why I write here? I think they are all going hand in hand.
Yes, most
Yeah,
definitely. And for me also, like when you were speaking, it from fear to trust. This is one
yes,
journey that personally it will for me the words have really made a difference because this is one journey that I need to take, and this is an inspiration. Your words are an inspiration, truly, and I think
yes.
for many they will be. Please
In
continue.
mediation, yes, in mediation, parties are generally afraid to agree and sign an agreement because when they sign, it means some commitment. It is official and serious because of fear. They don't know what will happen when they sign it. They don't understand it really. Um, but when they trust in your process, when they trust the mediation, they don't need to trust each other. They just need to trust your process and in your profession. Then they can sign it. And in work category also, so as I said, I had a radical shift from bureaucracy to self-employment. So in bureaucracy, you don't work for yourself. Whatever you do is getting lost in hierarchy. So you're working for others. And of course, you're working for the government and it has some value in it. And I really appreciate my previous work. It got me, uh, it provided me a lot of background. Um, but working for yourself is another experience. So in the second chapter of my life, I'm working for myself. Whatever I do, good or bad, all the mistakes and all the successes belong to myself now. And this is the second one stays the same. I was always interested in working. Whatever you have on my desk, I can find some interest in it. I'm a person that loves working. So you need to be finding the right thing to work on because you may lose your energy for something really not so important. Um, I can get into detail easily and work, but so what's the use in it? So now again, I have some genuine interest in work, but I also ask what is beneficial in this work. So now do I really work in the interest of someone? Can I see the result of it? So now what I do is just micro. Before it was too much macro and I couldn't always see the results, but now I can feel it directly through people that I work for, from my clients, for example. And before it was too much messy because I had so many to deal with. I was getting lost. And at work, you have to deal with housework and everything, and not just work here. But now, as I said, I'm also trying to concentrate on what I'm doing. I try to have a focus on something. Still, I have a lot of projects going on. Sometimes I may not be really successful in this. I sometimes find myself too much getting lost, but then I remind myself to forego some of those projects. The fourth category is self-identity category. As I said before, I was leaving myself too much at the back. I was working a lot, but nobody was seeing me. I was getting lost. And I wasn't trying to be getting some positions, as I said, because I really didn't give value to that. But then I couldn't have impact. And nobody understood that that work belonged to me. And based on that work, some other people who didn't deserve it got some rewards. Okay, they can get the reward, but so I couldn't have the authority to change in the positive way. In order to be able to do something, you need some authority. Responsibility and authority goes hand in hand. If you don't have the authority, even if you try to do something, you cannot do it because that decision lasts on somebody else. And from chaos to balance, it created some chaos at home and at work as well, because I tried to do something, but because I don't have the authority, some things were not working in harmony. Now I try to keep the balance at home and at work at the same time. And from feeling insecure to taking risk and gaining experience. So maybe I was staying back because maybe I didn't want to risk anything, I thought. Now I'm taking some other risks. I created this, for example, Momentum Mediation Center. It is an initiative. You now have some economic risks as well, and you now provide your own name, and if you make some mistakes, people may blame you. Otherwise, the blame was not directly on me. So now I'm taking risks to move myself forward. But I'm trying to take smart risks, of course. And as I take some steps, I'm also gaining experience. As I gain experience, then I can take more steps. So rather than suppressing myself, now I'm trying to get that self-realization in life, because I have this life. It is actually mediation or whatever you do. It is your life, and it will end at a point. It is too short. So I'm trying to do my best to provide a good legacy behind me. What I have in myself will be going to the earth with me. Rather than that, I'm trying to disseminate whatever positive in me to other people, that knowledge, experience, so that they can move it to a greater point, even compared to me. Maybe they will reach something much bigger with that information. Oh, okay. So when I go look at my life, I can provide a super history of my life, or I can write something really negative. If I would concentrate on, for example, as I said, my mother's illness, or that marriage, or something, those work problems, I can write something really negative. But on the other hand, when you look at that CV or something, what I achieve, I can write something very positive. And it would like a mask here. That positive is a mask, but that negative is another mask. A lot of people wears the mask of victim. It's also very dangerous. Don't become a victim or a villain. Neither is good. Just try to learn from your experiences, your failures, accept them. Both are you. And just go on, try to make it better for the future. We cannot change the past, but we can change the future. Let's change it. And here my slides end, but what I want to add for people younger or older, it actually doesn't, the age doesn't mean everything. What I can say more about this, try to have a vision first. When I became a
We
mediator,
can stop sharing now and we can talk.
yeah, yeah, sure. And maybe I talked a lot. Would you like to add some comments here?
No, you have, and the crux that you have given is don't become neither a victim and nor a villain, because there are people who have who have suffered, but there is always the tendency to go in a victim mode and be passive, be like useless, pathetic, or think of I have suffered and now I'm doomed and all. And it takes a lot of time to forget that and to move in the direction that you would have wanted to move in life. So that you have already said that that either we can see at the darker side of our life, or we can just think of whatever we have in our hand and make the best of it. So I think that you have already said. Please
Mhm. It's also important for women empowerment, especially women in families. They tend to act like victim and they continue that role all their lives. Um, for example, there was a woman who came to my mediation session and she had to come by herself. She was living in a village. The village is very close. She can just take the bus and can come. But it was a hurdle to her. She was exhausted when she came and she said, I couldn't find the street, I couldn't find the address. And she called me 100 times when she was coming. And I just said, okay, walk. Just one block later, she was calling back. I said, okay, go on, go on. And when she came, she was already feeling too much negative, exhausted. And I said, congratulations. Um, you made something today. Um, and you could come here successfully. She said, I never go by myself. I don't know these streets. Because of you, I came. I said, this is something wonderful what you did today. You achieved something. So we changed her psychology the opposite way before starting our mediation session. If we had started in that negative mood, it would be probably awful. But then when she realized that, her mood really changed and we had another type of mediation that day. For example, that example I remembered now. Um, so as my final points, I also wanted to say that having a vision. When I started mediation and just became an officially registered mediator in Turkey, um, I could just say, okay, they are assigning some cases to me. Let's do it, and I get my money. The first thing I did, what is mediation in the world? I looked reading about mediation, not just Turkish and foreign languages. I would say is very important, especially English, because it's the global language now. Uh, as I read about mediation, I saw that there is an accreditation possible there. And then I searched for other people on social media so that I could find you. The best part of mediation, probably, I find, is that I met really valuable people by being a mediator. How would I know you without that? In
I
Turkey,
have to
first,
stop you here because we are running out of time, and I
yeah,
will have to thank you. And it was a pleasure talking to you. And it's such a wonderful thing that we learned today, that so much positive can come. Neither you should become a villain and nor a victim. So that on that note, thank you so much, Sevil, for coming here and talking yourself, talking out, and it's really been a pleasure to hear you. Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
inviting me.